When the Bible talks about hell, what does it really mean? Is there just one hell or more than one? Most people think of hell as one single place where bad people go after they die, a place of fire and punishment that lasts forever. But what if I told you the Bible talks about more than one kind of hell? This might sound strange, but when you look closer at the original words and stories in the Bible, you find that it describes 3 different places, each with its own purpose and its own prisoners. In this video, we're going to break it all down step by step, so it's clear and easy to understand. By the end, you'll see why these differences matter and how they show a much deeper picture of what the Bible says about the unseen world. Part 1. Hell for human souls. When most people hear the word hell, this is the place they are thinking about. It is described as a place of fire, darkness, and total separation from God. The Bible teaches that this hell was made for human souls who reject God. It is not a place where demons sit and punish people. In fact, the Bible shows that even demons fear their own places of punishment. Hell for humans is specifically for people, not spirits. Jesus spoke about this place many times. In Matthew 10:28, he warned that we should fear the one who can destroy both body and soul in hell. In Matthew 8:12, he described it as outer darkness, where there is weeping and grinding of teeth. These images are meant to show deep suffering and regret. In Revelation 20, it is called the lake of fire, where those whose names are not in the book of life are thrown. The word Gehenna helps explain it better. Gehenna was a real valley outside Jerusalem, where trash and even the bodies of criminals were burned. It was always burning and full of decay. When people heard the word Gehenna, they thought of a place that was ruined and hopeless. Jesus used this image to warn about being separated from God forever. This hell is not a place of fun or chaos. Demons do not run it, and there are no wild parties. It is a place of complete loss, where people face the results of their choices and live forever without God's presence. That makes it serious and final. To understand why this hell exists, it helps to remember that God created humans with free will. We can choose to love Him or reject Him. Those who reject God and live only for themselves end up in hell. It is not punishment for mistakes or ignorance. It is the natural result of turning completely away from God. Hell is a consequence, not random suffering. The Bible shows what life in this hell looks like. In Matthew 25, Jesus talks about the final judgment. People are separated. Some go to eternal life, others to eternal punishment. The words show deep regret, sorrow, and suffering. People in hell realize too late the value of the choices they made. Many translations call it eternal fire or the lake of fire. Eternal means it does not end. Some might imagine flames everywhere, but the deeper meaning is being completely cut off from God. That is the ultimate suffering. All other pain reflects this separation. This hell is not where demons live. Angels and demons have their own places of punishment. Human hell is for people who rejected God. It exists because of our choices. No one is forced there. Every soul in hell chose it by refusing God. Jesus warned about hell not to scare people for fun. He wanted people to understand the consequences of their actions. He often used stories and parables to show that life is short and decisions matter. Understanding this hell helps us see why following God matters. It is about choosing a life connected to love, truth, and meaning, rather than emptiness and regret. To understand hell, imagine being completely alone, without comfort or hope. People in hell do not have God's presence. They cannot feel peace, joy, or love. Everything they valued in life feels meaningless. It is permanent and unchanging. The story of the rich man and Lazarus in Luke 16 shows this. Lazarus goes to a peaceful place with God, but the rich man ends up in torment. He is conscious, aware, and suffering. He asks for even a small comfort, but it is too late. This story helps people understand the seriousness of rejecting God while alive. Hell is also described as fire. Many people think of literal flames, but it also symbolizes pain and regret. Fire consumes and cannot be escaped. It represents the weight of living apart from God forever. The suffering is spiritual because the human soul was made to be with God. Being away from Him is unbearable. Another way to understand hell is through our choices. Every choice can bring us closer to God or further away. Hell represents the path that leads completely away. People do not end up there by mistake. Each person made choices that, over time, built a life turning away from God. The Bible teaches that God does not send people to hell randomly. It is the natural result of their decisions. Finally, hell is real, but it also serves as a warning. Jesus wanted people to understand the consequences of their actions and to change before it was too late. This hell is serious and eternal, but God gives everyone a chance to avoid it by following Him. Understanding hell helps us see the importance of life, love, and connection with God. Part 2. The Abyss for Demons. When we think of the unseen world, we often imagine humans struggling with sin and angels fighting battles in heaven. But the Bible also shows that there is a place set aside specifically for demons who disobey God. This place is called the Abyss, sometimes called the bottomless pit. It is a prison created to hold these rebellious spirits. Unlike hell for humans, which is for the souls of people who reject God, the abyss is for spiritual beings who have chosen to oppose God and His will. The idea of the abyss can feel mysterious and even frightening because it is a place demons themselves fear. In Luke 8:31, we see an example that shows just how real this fear is. A group of demons was living in a man, causing him great suffering. When Jesus approached, they recognized His authority and begged Him not to send them into the abyss. Instead, Jesus allowed them to enter a herd of pigs, which then ran into a nearby lake and drowned. The fact that the demons begged to avoid the abyss shows how terrible this place is. Even beings created to oppose God are afraid of it. The abyss is not just a metaphor. The Bible presents it as a real, tangible prison for rebellious spiritual beings. In Revelation 20:1-3, it describes a great angel coming down from heaven with a key to the abyss. The angel seizes the dragon, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, and locks him away for 1,000 years. The abyss is described as a sealed, confined space where those imprisoned cannot escape or act against God. It is designed to contain evil and prevent it from spreading freely. To understand the abyss better, imagine a place so secure and restricted that no creature, no matter how powerful, can escape its boundaries. It is not meant to punish in the way humans imagine suffering, like fire or torment, but to remove the freedom of disobedient spirits entire. Freedom is what demons value most. They are created with intellect and power, and their rebellion comes from their will. Being confined in the abyss takes away that freedom, which makes it an extreme form of punishment from their perspective. The abyss shows the seriousness of spiritual law. God is not random or arbitrary with his punishments. He has a plan for order in the unseen world. Just as humans are held accountable for their choices, demons are also accountable for theirs. Those who rebelled against God, those who refused his authority and chose their own way, end up in the abyss. This is not a place they accidentally fall into. It is the consequence of their rebellion, and it is permanent for the time they are confined there. Another way to understand the abyss is through its function. It is a place to protect the world from the influence of rebellious spiritual beings. Demons are powerful, and left unchecked, they could bring chaos to the world and the lives of humans. The Bible shows that God's justice includes both restraint and punishment. The abyss is part of that plan. It restrains the most dangerous beings and ensures they cannot harm God's creation until he allows it. Luke 8:31 gives a vivid example. The demons recognize Jesus' power immediately. They plead not to be sent into the abyss and instead enter the pigs. This story shows both the authority of Jesus over evil and the terrifying reality of the abyss. The demons knew they would lose their freedom and face confinement they could not escape. This makes the abyss a place of extreme fear, even for spiritual beings who seem powerful and dangerous. The abyss also teaches us about the nature of spiritual authority. God has ultimate control over every created being. Humans may struggle with choices and consequences, but demons cannot resist his plan. They may act in the world for a time, but the Bible reminds us that God has a place for every being who disobeys him. The abyss is one of those places, reserved specifically for the rebellious. Understanding the abyss also helps us see a broader picture of the spiritual world. It is not chaos or random. There are rules and consequences, even for beings we cannot see. The abyss is a symbol of God's justice, order, and power. It shows that disobedience has consequences no matter who you are, and it serves as a warning that rebellion against God leads to a place where freedom and influence are stripped away entirely. Part 3. Tartarus for the fallen angels. In the Bible, there is another special place of confinement called Tartarus. This is not for humans, and it is not for ordinary demons. Tartarus is the prison for the fallen angels, the ones who rebelled against God in the very beginning. These angels are often described as the fathers of the Nephilim, the giants mentioned in Genesis 6. They disobeyed God's commands, and as a result, they were not allowed to remain in heaven. Instead, they were cast down into this dark prison. Tartarus is described in 2 Peter 2:4. It says that God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them into chains of darkness to be held for judgment. This is a very strong image. These angels were created perfect and powerful, yet they chose to defy God. Tartarus is their punishment, a place where they cannot act freely and cannot interfere with God's creation in the same way they might have before. To understand Tartarus, imagine the difference between a prison and a cage. A cage still gives some room to move, but Tartarus is more like an unbreakable prison. These angels are confined, completely removed from the presence of God, and kept under strict chains. The Bible uses strong language to show that this is not a temporary situation. Tartarus is a place of waiting, of holding these rebellious angels until the time God has set for final judgment. Tartarus also shows the seriousness of rebellion against God. Humans make choices every day, and demons have their own nature and choices. But the fallen angels were created to be close to God, and their rebellion is described as especially grave. They had knowledge, power and responsibility. Their fall shows that even those closest to God are held accountable for their actions. 2 Peter 2:4 makes it clear that God's judgment is not limited to humans. It applies to spiritual beings as well, and Tartarus is a visible example of that justice. The purpose of Tartarus is not only punishment, but also protection. These angels are powerful, and if they were left unchecked, they could cause chaos in the world. By confining them, God ensures that His order is maintained. They are removed from any influence over humans or creation until the time He allows. This also shows that God's judgment has structure. There are specific places for different beings: hell for humans, the abyss for demons, and Tartarus for the fallen angels. Each prison reflects the nature of the being it holds. Unlike hell for humans, which involves suffering because of separation from God, and unlike the abyss, which involves fear and loss of freedom for demons, Tartarus is more about confinement and waiting for judgment. It is a place where these powerful beings are held in chains and darkness. The Bible does not give many details about what they experience moment to moment, but the imagery shows that it is serious, permanent, and beyond escape. Thinking about Tartarus also helps us understand God's authority over all creation. Even beings created to be mighty and glorious are not above His will. The fallen angels could not resist judgment, no matter how strong they were. This shows that rebellion has consequences, no matter who you are or what power you hold. Tartarus is a reminder that God's justice is fair, structured, and unavoidable. Tartarus is rarely mentioned in sermons or Bible studies, but it is a crucial part of understanding the spiritual world. It shows that the unseen world is not chaotic. There is order, and God has a plan for every being. Just as humans have choices and consequences, and demons have their own prison in the abyss, the fallen angels have Tartarus. Each is a distinct place designed for the nature of those who inhabit it. So humans have hell, demons have the abyss, and fallen angels have Tartarus. These are separate places, each designed for different beings. The Bible shows that the unseen world is more complex than most people realize. It is not random or chaotic. Every soul, every spirit, has a place that reflects their choices and actions. Understanding this should make us reflect on our own lives. It reminds us that our decisions matter, and that turning toward God brings life, hope, and connection, while rejecting Him leads to separation and regret. The unseen world is real, and the choices we make now shape where we will be.